Hi guys, good morning everyone. Guys, in the last session, we discussed about what type of classes will be available in the application and how we are going to develop those classes. So in the application, we are going to follow layered architecture for developing the classes. Our application will contain multiple layers like presentation layer will be available, controller layer will be available, service layer will be available, and persistence layer also will be available. Presentation layer responsible for user interface. We can use JSP for that, or we can use Timeleaf for that. We can use Angular, or we can use React for the presentation layer development. Next one is controller layer. So that is also called as a web layer. We are going to develop some classes in the controller which are responsible to take the request and give the response to the client. Right. In order to develop those controllers, there are several technologies are available. In the Spring framework, we are having WebMVC module in order to develop the web layer in the application. And the next one, service layer will be available, which contains some business logic. That service layer we can develop with Java logic as well as some third-party APIs we are going to use. Next one, persistence layer will be available. Nothing but our DAO classes will be available. DAO classes are responsible to communicate with the database table. In order to develop the DAO layer, there are several technologies available. JDBC available, Spring JDBC available, Hibernate is available, Spring ORM is available, and Spring Data JPA is also available. Right. When we are developing our application with the layered architecture, multiple classes we are going to develop. Some classes we are going to call as controller classes. Some classes we are going to call as service classes. Some classes we are going to call as DAO classes. When we develop multiple classes like this, one class method should call another class method. Whenever a request comes to the controller, controller method will call service class method. Service class method will call DAO class method. That means controllers are dependent on the service. Service is dependent on the DAO. So when the classes are having dependency on the other classes, how one Java class can communicate with the another Java class? In order to communicate from one Java class method to the another Java class method, in general, we have two options. One is called easy a relationship. Another one is called has a relationship. Easy a relationship is nothing but target class is going to extend the properties from the dependent class. Now here, I have taken an example of car and engine. I want to drive the car. If I want to drive the car, my car is dependent on the engine. My car is dependent on the engine. So we are calling car as a target, engine as a dependent. Engine class is having start method, car class is having drive method. If I want to drive the car, then I need to start the engine. One class is dependent on the another class. Just I have taken two classes here. One is car, second one is engine. Car class is dependent on the engine class. Tomorrow, if you go for a real application, 100 controllers, 100 services, 100 DAO classes can be available. Then one class method should call the another class method. I mean to say, so here we are going to develop our application. We are going to develop our application with these three layers. Controller class methods should call service class methods. That means controllers are dependent on the services. Service class methods should call the DAO class methods. That means services are dependent on the DAOs. Now, how controller can call service method? How service will call the DAO method? So two options are there. One is go for inheritance, or second one go for composition. If car class is extending the properties from the engine, car class method can access engine class methods directly like this. Okay. If I extend the properties like this, is there any problem? If one class is extending the properties from another class to call the methods, is there any problem or there is no problem? Yes, problem is there. What is the problem? My class cannot extend the properties from any other class in the future. Inheritance gate will be closed here. we can't use inheritance in the future. That is the first problem. And what is the second problem? Tightly coupled. My car class is directly calling the engine class method. If any changes happen to the engine class, if any changes happen to the engine class, it will affect on the car class. So the classes are tightly coupled. If I develop the classes with the tightly coupling, project maintenance will become very difficult. Okay, inheritance is not recommended when one class method want to call the another class method. Then what is the other solution we have? Has a relationship. If I go for inheritance, classes are becoming tightly coupled. So to avoid the tightly coupling, I will go for a has-a relation. If I go for a has-a relation, instead of extending the properties, we are creating the object and we are calling the method. So when I create the object, classes are loosely coupled, classes are tightly coupled. When I go for inheritance, classes are loosely coupled, classes are tightly coupled. Still my classes are tightly coupled because car is always creating the object for the engine. Suppose if I have different types of engines in the project, I want to change from one engine to other engine. If I want to change from one engine to other engine, then we need to change the logic in the car class. Every time when I want to change the engine, I need to change object creation. Every time when I want to change the engine, I want to change my object creation. Is it recommended? It is not recommended because here also the classes are tightly coupled. That means if you go for easier relationship or has a relationship in the layered architecture, the classes will become tightly coupled. The maintenance of the project will become very difficult. So now what is our goal? We need to develop our classes with the loosely coupling. What is the meaning of loosely coupling? One class should not depend on the other class. Without having dependency, we should be able to access one class method from the another class method. Then we can say our classes are loosely coupled. Then we can say our classes are loosely coupled. In order to develop our classes with the loosely coupling, what is required? How can we develop classes with the loosely coupling? In order to develop our classes with the loosely coupling, we need to go for Spring Core module. To develop the classes with the loosely coupling, we need to go for Spring Core module. What is the Spring Core module? What is the purpose of Spring Core module? What is Spring Core module? What is the purpose of Spring Core module? Spring Core module is the base module in the Spring framework. If you go for Spring framework, there are several modules are available. One of the first module that we are going to learn from the Spring Core, that is called one of the module from the Spring, that is called Spring Core. It is a base module in the Spring framework. Core module providing fundamental concepts of the Spring framework. What are those fundamental concepts available? One is IOC container, second one is dependency injection, third one is auto wiring. By using Spring Core, we can develop our classes with loosely coupling. Now, by using Spring Core concepts, we can develop classes with loosely coupling. What is the meaning of loosely coupling? One class will not be dependent on the another class. So if you want to develop your application with the loosely coupling, then you need to go for Spring Core module. Now here guys, whatever the classes we are developing, car class and engine class. So car is dependent on the engine. Car should call the engine class method. If car is extending the properties, then we can call the method. If car is creating the object for the engine, then we can call the method. So by using easier relationship, we can access the method. By using has-a relationship, we can access the method. But easier and has-a will make our application tightly coupled, will make our classes tightly coupled. So we need to develop our classes with loosely coupling. We need to develop the classes with loosely coupling. Now, what this Spring Core module is telling, what this Spring Core module is telling, hey programmer, you are going to develop so many classes in the application. When one class wants to talk to another class, you don't go for inheritance. If you go for inheritance, your classes will become tightly coupled. You don't create the object. If you create the object, your classes will become tightly coupled. You just develop your classes by following some rules. You develop your classes by following some rules. Then I will take care of object creation. I will take care of object creation. You don't go for inheritance. Classes will become tightly coupled if you use that. You don't create the object directly because classes will become tightly coupled. I am a framework. I'm a framework. I have some common logics already. I have some common logics already. You just focus on the business logic. You develop your classes. You give your classes to me. You create the car class. You create the engine class. You write the logic. You give the classes to me. I will take care of object creation. I will take care of object creation. So that means from now onwards, you no need to create the object to call one class method from the another class. Are you guys getting my point? So earlier in the servlet, we created object for the DAO to communicate with the database. From now onwards, do we need to create the object? Object creation will be taken care by Spring Core module. Do we need to create the object, or object creation will be taken care by Spring Core module? Spring Core module. If we create the object, classes will become tightly coupled. I don't want to create the object. I will just develop the classes. I will give my classes to Spring Core module. Then the core module will take care of object creation. Core module will take care of object creation. Then our classes will become loosely coupled. I should not go for inheritance. I should not go for composition. I should not create the object directly, but still I should be able to access one class method from the another class. For that we are going for Spring Core module. What is the Spring Core module? That is the base module of the Spring framework that will make sure our classes are loosely coupled. Now that means here one class is dependent on the another class. So what we are doing in the project, we are creating object for the dependent class. We are using that object in the target class. Are you guys getting my point? My car is a target class. I want to drive the car. In order to drive the car, I need to start the engine. That means car is dependent on the engine. Car is dependent on the engine. So that's why I'm creating object for the engine and I am calling the start method. So here I am taking care of object creation. That's why my classes are tightly coupled. Without creating this object, I should be able to call engine class start method. For that, we need to go for Spring Core module. Now the question is, can I ask Spring Core module to take care of the dependencies? My classes are having dependency. Controller should talk to service. Service should talk to DAO. Car class should talk to engine class. Now, I should not go for inheritance. I should not go for composition. But still, my car class should call the engine class method. For that, what we need to do is, we need to develop our classes and we need to give our classes to Spring Core module. We need to develop our classes and we need to give the classes to Spring Core module. Then the Spring Core module will take care of object creation, will take care of dependent class object creation, will take care of target class object creation. With loosely coupling, one class can talk to another class. Are you able to follow this? Now, yesterday we developed our engine class and car class. But if you develop classes like this, if you develop dependent class and if you develop target class like this, Spring Core also cannot make the classes loosely coupled. If you want to achieve loosely coupling, we need to develop the classes by following some rules. we need to develop the classes by following some rules. So what the Spring Core is telling, boss, you develop the classes by following some rules. If you develop the classes by following some rules, then I will take care of your object creation. I will take care of loosely coupling. I will take care of object creation. I will take care of loosely coupling. What are the rules we need to follow to develop the classes? To achieve loosely coupling, we need to go for core module. So if we want our classes to be managed by, Spring Core module IOC, if you want to manage our classes by IOC, then we need to develop our classes with some rules. If we want our classes to be managed by IOC container, then we need to develop our classes with some rules. If you develop your classes with some rules, then in the Spring Core, IOC container is available. That IOC container will create the object. You no need to create the object for the classes from now onwards. Who will take care of the object creation? IOC container will take care of the object creation. Programmer can create the object. IOC container can create the object. If a programmer is creating the object, classes will become tightly coupled. If a IOC container create the object, classes will become loosely coupled. Then if you want to manage your classes by IOC container, then we need to develop our classes with some rules. What are those rules? So the rules are given by one design pattern, guys, that is called strategy design pattern. What is that, guys? Strategy design pattern. Now, from now onwards, when we are developing the classes in the project, we need to follow the rules given by strategy design pattern. So blindly we are creating car class and engine class to execute our application. But from now onwards, when you are creating your classes, you don't create the object. Object will be created by IOC container. If IOC container should manage our classes, then our classes should be developed by following some rules. Who has given those rules? Those rules are given by strategy design pattern. Who provided the rules, guys? Strategy design pattern. If you develop your classes by following strategy design pattern, then our classes will be loosely coupled. Then IOC container will take care of the object creation. So what are the rules available in the strategy design pattern? The first rule is favor composition over inheritance. What is the first rule available, guys? Favor composition over inheritance. Boss, when one class wants to access another class, blindly don't go for inheritance. Try to go for composition. That is the first rule. They are telling that if you want your classes to be loosely coupled, if you want your classes to be managed by IOC container, then you develop your classes with the rules. What rules we need to follow to develop the classes? Strategy design pattern rules we need to follow. What is the first rule in the strategy design pattern? You favor composition over inheritance. What is the meaning of favor composition over inheritance? Blindly don't go for inheritance. Try to use composition in many scenarios. When one class want to talk to another class, blindly don't go for inheritance. Favor composition. That is the first rule they are telling. Then second rule. The second rule is develop classes, develop code with interfaces. Code with interfaces instead of implementation classes. Okay. Whenever you are developing the classes, when one class is talking to another class, directly don't talk from one class to another class. Always use interface as a mediator. When you are developing the classes, always use interface as a mediator. Interface as a mediator. Then the third principle, code should be open for extension and closed for modification. Whatever the code you are developing, excuse me, whatever the classes you are developing, your code should be open for extension and your code should be closed for modification. Code should be, that means you should be able to add new functionality in the project and your existing functionality should be closed. Code should be open for extension and code should be closed for modification. These are the rules given by strategy design pattern. These are the rules given by strategy design pattern. If you develop your classes by following this strategy design pattern, then your classes will be loosely coupled. Then your classes will be managed by IOC container. You no need to extend the properties. You no need to create the object, but still one class method can access another class method. Can you read the rules of strategy design pattern? Come on. What are the rules available? Favor composition over inheritance. What is the meaning of favor composition over inheritance? What is the meaning of favor composition over inheritance? Blindly don't go for inheritance. When one class wants to talk to another class, try to go for composition. What is the second rule? What is the second rule? Code with the interfaces instead of implementation classes. That means one class should not talk to another class directly. One class should not talk to another class directly. Always use interface as a mediator. When one class want to talk to another class, we need to use interface as a mediator. Then what is the third principle? What is the third principle? Code should be open for extension and code should be closed for modification. Who provided these rules? These rules are from the Spring Framework. These rules are from Sun Microsystem. No, these rules are given by strategy design pattern. So from now onwards, when we are developing the classes in the project, we need to follow this strategy design pattern. If you develop the project with the strategy design pattern, classes will be loosely coupled and the IOC container will create the object. You no need to create the object for the classes. IOC container will create the objects. If IOC container create the object, what is the benefit? If IOC create the object, then what is the benefit? Our classes will be loosely coupled. Are you guys clear with my point now? I want to develop same application with a strategy design pattern. I want to develop car application with a strategy design pattern. So here 3 rules available. I will develop my classes by following these 3 rules. Then we will understand my classes are tightly coupled or my classes are loosely coupled. Are you able to follow me? Good. So what they're saying is favor composition over inheritance. Code to interfaces instead of implementation classes. What is the third one? Code should be open for extension and code should be closed for modification. Now, I want to drive a car. For my car, engine is required. There are several types of engines are available in the market. Petrol engine is available, diesel engine is available, electric engine is also available. There are several types of engines are available. My car should be able to talk to any engine. My car should be able to talk to any engine. Now, so to develop this application, first I am going to develop one interface, guys. First I am going to develop one interface that is called engine interface. I'm going to develop one interface called engine interface. Inside this engine interface, there will be a method that is start method. There is a method called start method is available. That start method is having integer as a return type. That integer return type will represent whether this engine is started or engine is not started. Whether engine is started or engine is not started will be represented by that integer given by start method. I'm taking one interface. In that interface, I'm having only abstract method. My interface contains only abstract method. Now, once the interface is available, anybody can provide the implementation. So there is a engine called petrol engine is available. There is a engine called petrol engine is available. Similarly, there is a engine called diesel engine is available. Petrol engine is available and diesel engine is available. These two classes are implementation classes for the engine interface. Petrol engine class and diesel engine class is available. Petrol engine is implementing engine interface. Diesel engine also implementing engine interface. Are you clear? Now, my code I am developing by using interfaces. Yesterday, we developed our classes directly without interfaces. Today, I am developing an interface and I am implementing that interface. I have a engine. For that engine, there are two implementations are available. Now, I want to develop my target class. My target class is car class. I want to drive the car. My car class is available. I want to drive the car. If I want to drive the car, I'm going to take one method that is called void drive method. I want to drive the car. For that, I'm taking void drive method. Now, in order to drive the car, what is required? In order to drive the car, what is required? In order to drive the car, engine is required. Now, do we have only one engine or we have multiple engines? Do we have only one engine or we have multiple engines now? We have multiple engines. So here, if my car is directly talking to petrol engine, tightly coupled. If my car is directly talking to petrol engine, my classes are tightly coupled. If my car is talking to diesel engine, then my classes are tightly coupled. So what I need to do? My car should talk to petrol engine, or my car should talk to diesel engine, or my car should talk to interface. If I talk to petrol engine, what happens? If I talk to petrol engine, what happens? Class will be tightly coupled. If I want to change to diesel engine, I need to change the code. If my car talk to diesel engine, still tightly coupled. So what is the second principle? What is the second principle? What is the second principle? Code should be implemented with the interfaces instead of implementation classes. If a car is talking to petrol engine, tightly coupling. If a car is talking to diesel engine, tightly coupling. That's why my car will talk to interface. What is that, guys? My car will talk to interface. If car wants to talk to interface, I will create a reference variable for the interface. Inside the car class, I'm creating an object or I'm just creating a reference variable. My car class is having just one reference variable for the interface. What is the meaning of? What is the meaning of interface reference variable? What is the meaning of interface reference variable? Interface reference variable can hold implementation class object. So yesterday what we have done, inside the car, directly we are extending the properties from the engine. Inside the car, directly we are creating the object for the engine. If I go for these two approaches, classes are tightly coupled. Now I want to develop my classes with loosely coupled. Now look at the diagram. My car is dependent on any engine. My car is dependent on any engine. My car is not dependent on any engine. My car is not dependent on any engine. My car is talking to interface. That means my car is loosely coupled. My car class is loosely coupled. Tomorrow in my project, I want to add one more engine. If I add one more engine, is there any effect on the car? If I want to remove one engine, is there any effect on the car? No. So here I am using composition only. I'm creating a reference variable. Instead of interface, favor composition over inheritance. So that is the first principle. Read the first principle. Favor composition over inheritance. Now, for engine, am I creating a reference variable or I'm extending the properties? I'm creating a reference variable or I'm extending the properties. I'm creating a reference variable. That is a type of composition. That is a type of composition. What is the second principle? What is the second principle? Codes with the interfaces instead of the classes directly. Now, my car is having any engine reference or my car is having interface reference? Is my car talking to implementation class directly? No. My car is talking to whom? My car is talking to engine. What is engine? Engine is a interface. Code with the interfaces instead of implementation classes. What is the third principle? What is the third principle? Code should be open for the extension and code should be closed for the code should be open for the extension and code should be closed for the modification. Now, can I add electric engine in the project now? Can I add electric engine in the project? If I add a new engine, do I need to make any changes to the car? Do I need to touch the car class? No. Without touching the car, you can add the new engine. Code is open for the extension. Extension means adding the new functionality. Extension means adding the new functionality. And code should be closed for the modification. If I remove diesel engine in the project, is there any effect on the car? Now tell me, classes are tightly coupled or classes are loosely coupled? Classes are tightly coupled or classes are loosely coupled? Classes are loosely coupled. My car wants engine, but whether it is a petrol engine or a diesel engine, I am not creating the object. I am using a interface. Interface reference variable can hold any implementation class object. Whenever you create a interface reference variable, that interface reference variable can hold any implementation class object. Are you able to follow me? Are you clear with my point? So tell me, what is the strategy design pattern? Why we need to follow strategy design pattern? Come on, guys. We are going to develop so many classes in the project. One class will have a dependency with the another class. In general, we can go for inheritance or we can go for composition when one class wants to talk to another class. With easy and has-a, there is a tightly coupling problem. I want to develop my classes with loosely coupling. I don't want to create the objects. Then what Spring is telling, okay boss, you no need to create the object for your classes. You develop your classes, give it to me. You develop your classes, give it to me. I will take care of the object creation. Okay, if I want to take care of your object creation, if I want to take care of loosely coupling for your classes, I have a IOC container. In the Spring Core module, IOC container is available. You develop your classes, you give it to IOC container. IOC container will create the objects, will manage your objects so that your classes will be loosely coupled. But one rule, if you want IOC container to manage your objects, if you want IOC container to take care of your object creation, you need to develop the classes with some rules. Those rules are given by strategy design pattern. You develop your classes with the strategy design pattern, you give the classes to me. Then my IOC container will manage your classes. My IOC container will create the object for your classes so that your classes will be loosely coupled. So first we need to understand what are the rules given by strategy design pattern. What are the rules given by strategy design pattern? What is the first rule? What is the first rule? Favor composition over inheritance. What is the second principle? Come on, what is the second principle? code to the interfaces instead of going for the implementation classes. What is the third principle? Our code should be open for extension and our code should be closed for modification. If you develop your classes with these three rules, then your classes are loosely coupled. Then IOC container can create the object for your classes. Are you guys able to follow this? Now, can we develop this application? Can we develop? I'm not using Spring as of now. I'm just developing a small application by using strategy design pattern, because these rules are very, very important when we are developing a project with the Spring framework or when we are developing project with the Spring Boot. So we need to develop our classes with loosely coupling from now onwards. When you are developing a class, always you need to remember maintenance of the project. Always you need to make sure your classes are loosely coupled. To develop classes with the loosely coupling, these three rules we need to follow. Can we create a project now? Yes, come on. Online students, are you able to understand what are the rules available in the strategy design pattern? People attending in the Zoom. I want you people to respond quickly.
Sir, we need to favor composition over inheritance.
That means we are creating a reference variable for the interface instead of extending the properties. That is the meaning of favor composition over inheritance. That means always use references instead of extending the properties. Now, if you see in the car class, am I extending the properties? No. But what I am doing here, I'm taking a reference variable. It is a kind of composition, but I'm not creating the object directly, but I'm taking a reference variable. That is the meaning of first principle. Is it clear? Online students, just respond in the chat.
Yes, sir.
Are you able to follow me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Good. So what is our target now? What we need to do now? We need to develop a car application with a strategy design pattern. Why we need to develop classes with a strategy design pattern? To achieve loosely coupling. Our classes should be loosely coupled. What is the benefit with the loosely coupling? What is the benefit with the loosely coupling? It is easy to maintain. It is easy to maintain. First principle, favor composition over inheritance. What is the second principle? Code to interfaces instead of implementation classes. What is the third principle? Code should be open for the extension and code should be closed for the modification. What is the meaning of that? We should be able to add new functionality without touching the existing functionality. We should be able to delete the existing functionality without affecting the other functionalities. Code should be open for the extension and code should be closed for the modification. Are you able to follow me? Are you able to follow me? Good. Now, let me create one simple Java project. Create one simple Java project. Create a project. So this is our first project, guys. 01 car application. Currently I'm using Eclipse IDE, guys. We are going to use 3 IDEs in this course. First one, when I am developing a simple application by using Spring, I will go with what is this problem? I will go with the Eclipse IDE. Going forward, we are going to use Spring Toolsuit IDE. Going forward, we will use IntelliJ IDE also. 3 different IDEs we are going to use in the course. So now I'm developing a normal Java project. Today, am I using Spring in the project? Am I using Spring in the project? I'm not using Spring. I'm using normal Java project. Once I start the Spring, then we will go for Spring Toolsuit IDE. When we go for the Spring Boot, then we will go for IntelliJ IDE. 3 IDEs we are going to use now. First, I'm going to use Eclipse IDE. I'm creating a normal Java project. Click on Next. Finish. So with this, my Java application got created. So I want to develop a car application. Car application is dependent on the engine. So let me create one interface first so that my classes will become loosely coupled. Engine, package name, in.ashok IT. So this is a interface, guys. Let me change the font. Correct. I have a interface. Now I want to write one abstract method, public integer start. That's it. I'm writing only abstract method in the interface. So once the interface is available, we can provide implementation for the interface. So now I'm going to create one class with a name called petrol engine. I'm creating one class called petrol engine. This petrol engine is implementing engine interface. Once the interface is available, a class can implement that interface, override the method. I am overriding that method. Now, here I am writing system.out.println petrol engine starting. Just one message for our understanding. Petrol engine starting, it is returning a positive number. What is the meaning of positive number? Engine is started successfully. Similarly, we are creating one more implementation class. This class I'm taking as diesel engine. Now, this class is also implementing engine interface. Implements engine. Override start method. So here I'm going to write a message system.out.println diesel engine started. Diesel engine starting, return a positive number. Look at the diagram. I'm able to create one interface. My interface contains abstract method. For this interface, I have taken two implementation classes. We are done with this part. I created one interface. For that interface, I have created two implementation classes. Perfect. Now, so here, let me create one car class. Create class called car. My car is dependent on the engine. Now I want to drive the car. Public void drive. If I want to drive the car, first we need to start the engine. So now here, in order to start the engine, if I go for petrol engine, PE is equal to new petrol engine and start the car. What is the problem? I can do like this also. What is the problem if I go like this? My class is directly creating the object. Classes are tightly coupled. So is this recommended or it is not recommended? It is not recommended. Okay, then what I need to do? I need to take a interface. I need to take a interface. Private engine ENG. Private engine ENG. Now I'm going to call ENG.start method. I have taken a interface reference variable, then I am calling eng.start method. What is the return type of the start method? Status. If status is greater than or equal to 1, if it is a positive number, then I will say my journey started. If it is a positive number, then I can say journey started. If it is some negative number, then we will say engine problem. System.out.println engine problem. Engine problem. So this is my car class. What is the difference between yesterday developed car class and today developed car class? Yesterday I developed car class like this. So what is the problem with this car class? Directly creating the object for the engine tightly coupled. What I am doing today? What I am doing today? Is my car talking to any implementation class? Is my car talking to petrol engine? Is my car talking to diesel engine? What my car is doing? What my car is doing? It is talking to a interface. It is talking to a interface. Tomorrow, if I add 10 types of engines, any problem for the car? Is my car dependent on any engine now? No. My car is talking to interface. That means my car is loosely coupled. My car is loosely coupled with the engine classes. My car is talking to interface instead of implementation classes. So that my car class is called as a loosely coupled class. Are you clear? Now, I want to test whether drive method is working as expected or not. So let me create one test class, new class test. So what is our target here? Drive the car. My target is to drive the car. Let me go for main method. Let me create car C is equal to new car. I want to test whether drive method is working as expected or not. Car C is equal to new car C dot drive method. If I execute this, what output we are going to get? If I execute this application, if I execute my test class, what output we are going to get? Sorry? We are going to get, come on, null pointer exception. What we are going to get, guys? We are going to get null pointer exception. See that? Run as Java application. What we are getting now? What we are getting now? Null pointer exception. Why? Engine is null. You observe. Here, I am creating the object for the car. When we create object for a class, that class instance variables will be initialized with the default value. When you create the object for a class, that class instance variables will be initialized with the default value. Here, what I have done, I have declared a variable. This is a variable declaration. Is there any initialization available? I have just declared the variable. So whenever object is created for the car, then what will happen? This variable will be initialized with the default value. What is the default value for that variable? Null value. Now, when I call a drive method engine, what value is there in the engine? Null value. Null dot method. What will happen? When you do some operation with the null reference, then what will happen? Null pointer exception. Are you able to understand? So now our application is working as expected. Our application not working as expected. Our application working as expected. Application not working as expected. Not working as expected. So yesterday I created direct object. Then I called the method. Application worked, but tightly coupling. Today, I don't want to create the object. That's why I'm going for a interface. Can I create object for the interface? Can I create object for the interface? No, you cannot create the object for the interface. We need to create the object for the implementation class. Interface reference variable can hold implementation class object. Got it? Now, I'm creating object for test car class. I'm calling the drive method. When I create the object for the car class, what happens? This variable will be initialized with the null value because it is a instance variable. When the object is created, memory will be allocated for instance variables with the default value. What is the data type of the variable? Engine. It is a interface. That's nothing but a class type. What is the default value? Null value. Now, after creating the object, this variable will hold a null value. Then after, I'm calling drive method. I'm calling drive method. When I call the drive method, then what happened? Engine dot start method. Engine is a variable. What value available in the variable? Null value. Null dot method. What will happen? Null dot method. What will happen? Null pointer exception. Are you clear? So now my car is loosely coupled, but is it working as expected? My car is loosely coupled with the engine, but is that car working as expected? That car is not working as expected. Car is not working as expected. Why it is not working as expected? Why the car is not working as expected? We are taking interface reference variable. We are taking interface reference variable. When the object is created, that variable will be initialized with the null value. So when you perform some operation with the null value, you are going to get null pointer exception. How to resolve this problem? How to resolve this problem? Not equal to null. Here we need to understand dependency injection. What is the concept, guys? We need to understand dependency injection. Now what I will do is, anyone who want to drive the car, they need to choose the engine. Are you getting my point? I developed a car. My car is talking to interface reference variable. Interface reference variable can hold implementation class object. So what I do is, I want to tell the people, anybody who want to drive the car, those people should choose the engine. If you want to drive my car, you decide the engine. If I want to drive the car, then I will decide the engine. So that means what we need to do as a programmer, we need to tell to the people, if you want to drive my car, first you need to initialize this variable. If you want to drive my car, you need to initialize my variable. Are you guys clear with my point? I'm having a int. Guys, initially it may be little difficult for you, because first time we are trying to understand all the best practices to develop the project. Within the first class, within the second class, you will not become expert. Okay, whatever the concept we are learning today, am I using any Spring? Is there any Spring available? What project we are developing? Normal core Java application we are developing. You already know core Java. You know what is class. You know what is method. You know what is interface. But what we are doing today? Same thing. I'm creating a class. I'm creating methods. I'm creating a variable. I'm creating a interface. I'm not teaching anything related to Spring today. I'm teaching a simple Java application with a strategy design pattern. That's it. We are trying to understand how to develop the classes with loosely coupling. How to develop the classes with the loosely coupling, so that tomorrow our classes will be taken care by Spring Framework IOC container. So first time you are developing so many classes, inheritance, interfaces, composition, all these concepts, you may not be able to understand. Don't worry. We will develop one more application with the strategy design pattern. We are developing a car application. We will develop one more application with the strategy design pattern to get the full clarity. Once you got full clarity on the strategy design pattern, then we are going to use Spring Framework to develop the same application. Are you clear? For next 1 week, we are going to understand what is IOC container, what is a dependency injection. So without having clarity on IOC container and dependency injection, you cannot develop projects by using Spring or Spring Boot. So these are very fundamental concepts, very, very important, little confusing also. So we are going to develop 2 projects with the strategy design pattern. Then same projects we will implement by using IOC container dependency injection. So if you are not able to understand today, don't worry. We have 1 week of time to understand this concept. After 1 week, if you are not able to understand, then that is the problem. Today, if you are not able to understand, that's not your problem, because first time you are trying to listen to these concepts. Maybe little confusing, maybe little difficult, but within 1 week of time, you will get full clarity on what is IOC container, what is dependency injection, how to develop the classes with the loosely coupling. Are you clear? Good. Now, why we are getting null pointer exception here? Why we are getting null pointer exception here? Come on. I have just declared a variable. I have just declared a variable, but that variable initialized with the null value. Whenever you call the method variable dot method, what is the value in the variable? Null value. Null dot method. Null dot method, what will happen? Null dot method is going to give you null pointer exception. Are you able to follow me? Now, if I want to resolve this null pointer exception, I need to initialize this variable with the implementation class object. If I want to resolve this null pointer exception, I need to initialize the variable with the implementation class object. So this is a private variable. Can I initialize from outside? Can I initialize from outside? No. Why? Guys, this mic is giving lot of problem. Now, I want to initialize that variable. So now, can I initialize that from outside of the class? Private variable, can we access outside? No. Can I access private variables outside of the class? In the advanced Java, practically I have proved. In the advanced, before starting JDBC, what I have explained? Reflection. Can I access private variables outside of the class? Yes. In general, as per OOPS, we can't access private variables outside of the class, but by using reflection API, we can access private variables also outside of the class. Clear, guys? But now, forget about the reflection. Forget about reflection. Can I access private variable outside in general? No. Then, how to initialize this variable? What I will do is, I'm going to create one constructor. What I'm doing, guys? I'm going to create one constructor. For that constructor, I will take engine as a argument. Then this dot engine is equal to engine. This dot engine is equal to engine. So now, here what I am trying to do, the concept is a constructor. What is this constructor? What type of constructor it is? What type of constructor it is? This is a parameterized constructor. What is the parameter for the constructor? Engine. Engine is a class or engine is a interface? Engine is a class. Engine is a interface. Engine is a interface. That means my constructor is taking interface as a parameter. My constructor is taking interface as a parameter. What is the meaning of that? Why we are taking interface as a parameter? Basic core Java concept. I'm writing a constructor. My constructor is having interface as a parameter. What is the meaning of interface is a simple. Wait. I'm writing one method. Void M1. I'm taking list L as a parameter. Now tell me, how can I call this? What is list? What is a list? List is a interface. Now tell me how to call the M1 method. How to call the M1 method? Can I call M1 method like this? No. Why? Why I can't call M1 method like this? It is expecting a parameter. What is the parameter? List. Can I pass like this? Can I pass like that? No. Why? Why I can't call M1 method like that? Online students, why I can't M1 method like this? M1 is expecting list as a parameter. List is a class or list is a interface? List is a interface. Can I create the object for the interface? No. Then what I need to do? Here I can create array list object. I can create a array list object. I can call like this or I can call like this also. I can call M1 method by passing array list object as a parameter. I can call M1 method by passing linked list object as a parameter. What is the meaning of that? my method is loosely coupled. My method can take list implementation class object. I can write my method like this also. If I write like this, what is the problem? Directly you need to pass only array list, but sometimes I want to pass array list, sometimes I want to pass linked list. So what is the recommended approach as a parameter? List is a parameter. List is a interface. When the method parameter is a interface, we can pass interface implementation object for that method as a input. Same concept here also. What is the parameter of the constructor? Interface. Then what is the meaning of that? What is the meaning of that? Come on, what is the meaning of that? We can pass implementation class object as a parameter. Which implementation class object? Any implementation class object of the interface. Are you guys clear with my point? I can write a constructor like this also. Petrol engine. What is the problem? Always it will take only petrol engine. Tomorrow if I want to go for a diesel engine, I need to change the code. I want my class to be loosely coupled. That's why I'm taking interface as a parameter. What is the meaning of interface as a parameter? What is the meaning of interface as a parameter? Come on, what is the meaning of interface as a parameter? We can pass any implementation class of the interface. Now tell me, I am writing a constructor to initialize this variable. I'm writing a constructor to initialize the variable. This is called constructor injection. What is that concept, guys? Constructor injection. Injecting one class object into another class object through constructor is called as constructor injection. So are we talking about Spring? What we are learning? Constructor. What we are learning? Constructor. So now here I'm taking a car class. Inside the car class, I have a variable. I want to initialize the variable. To initialize that variable, I'm writing a constructor. So that means one class object I'm injecting into another class object. Can I say petrol engine can be injected to this variable now? Here, what is the purpose of line number 8? What is the purpose of line number 8? Initializing the current class variable. What I am doing? Initializing the current class variable. What I am initializing to that variable? Object. Which object? Interface implementation object. That means we are injecting engine class object into car class object through constructor. What is it called? What it is called? It is called constructor injection. Can you tell me what is a constructor injection? What is a constructor injection? The process of injecting one class object into another class object through constructor is called as constructor injection. Are you able to follow me? So tell me, what is the purpose of this constructor? What is the purpose of this constructor? Anybody who is feeling that, array, this is very difficult. Array, Spring is very difficult. If anybody feeling that Spring is very difficult, you need to question yourself. Am I using anything from Spring? Is there any Spring concept today? No. What concept we are doing? Core Java. If you feel this is difficult today, that means you are not good in the core Java. If you are not able to understand this project today, if you are not able to understand this code today, your core Java skills are very, very weak. So Spring is not started. We are understanding normal Java basics only. How to work with the constructor, how to work with the interfaces, how to work with implementation classes, how to develop classes with the loosely coupling, how to develop classes by following the rules of strategy design pattern. Spring will start after 2 to 3 days, not yet started. We are developing a project with the best practices, with the loosely coupling. Now, I'm using a constructor. Can you tell me what is a constructor in the Java? What is the purpose of constructor in the Java? And how many types of constructors available in the Java? What is a constructor? Constructor is a special method which is used to initialize the object which does not have any return type. How many types of constructors are there? Two types, zero param constructor and parameterized constructor. What is the purpose of parameterized constructor? What is the purpose of parameterized constructor? Parameterized constructor is used to initialize the current class variables. Now, what I am doing here? I'm initializing my variable. What is the type of the variable? Interface. What is the type of the constructor parameter? Interface. Why we are taking interface as a parameter? Why we are taking interface as a parameter? Simple. If I write M1 with list, what is the advantage with this? What is the advantage with this? You can pass any list implementation object. Similarly, if I take engine as a parameter, first of all, what is engine? Engine is a class or engine is a interface. Engine is a interface. Engine is a interface. What is the advantage? What is the advantage? We can pass any implementation class object for the constructor as a parameter. Now, anybody who want to drive the car, they need to pass engine as a parameter. Are you guys getting my point? If you want to call drive method, you need to create the object for the car. If you want to create the object for the car, you need to create that with the parameterized constructor. For that parameter, you need to supply any engine object as a parameter now. So let's go to test class. Let's go to test class. Can I create object like this? Can I create object like this? No. Why? We are having only parameterized constructor. Now let me pass new diesel engine. This is called as constructor injection. What concept we are learning today? Constructor injection. Constructor is used to initialize current class variables. By using constructor, I am injecting one class object into another class. Petrol engine or diesel engine object I can inject into car class by using constructor. Now, so if you look at the car, my car is tightly coupled with the engine or my car is loosely coupled with the engine. Is my car talking to petrol engine? No. Is my car talking to diesel engine? No. Tomorrow if I add electric engine, any changes required for the car? Tomorrow if I remove one engine, any changes required for the car? What is the meaning of that? My car is loosely coupled with the engine. How we are able to achieve loosely coupling? With the interface. How we are able to achieve loosely coupling? By using interface. Okay. Now test the car. Run as Java application. What happened now? Diesel engine is starting and journey started. If I want to change the engine now, I will change in my test class, petrol engine. Okay, run this, run as Java application, petrol engine starting. So what type of application we developed? We developed constructor injection application. We developed constructor injection application. I will tell you. So many people will think that this is setter injection, constructor injection concepts are there. They will feel that setter injection, constructor injection concepts introduced in the Spring framework. Many people will think that because people will explain setter injection, constructor injection in the Spring classes. So many students will think that setter injection, constructor injection introduced in the Spring. Now here, am I using Spring? No. So these concepts are available in the normal Java also. Tomorrow, same concept we are going to use in the Spring also. Constructor injection and setter injection. I will show you in my syllabus also. I think I have added that point. Setter injection and constructor injection. So go to Spring Boot microservices, course content. Okay. Can you see here? What is the concept there? Constructor injection, where we are going to cover in the Spring Boot. Okay, setter injection is available, constructor injection is available, field injection is available. Today we are understanding constructor injection. Can you tell me what is a constructor injection? What is a constructor injection? Developing injecting one class object into another class object using constructor is called as a constructor injection. This is one option. This is one option. If you don't want to go with the constructor, you can do setter also. Public void set eng. I'm taking engine as a parameter. Then I will write this dot eng is equal to eng. What I am doing here? What I am doing here? I am writing a setter method. What is the purpose of setter method? To set the value to the variable. What is the parameter? Engine. Now here, just to create the car object, then before calling that, set engine new petrol engine. So what is this concept now? This concept is called as setter injection. Now tell me, what is a setter injection? Injecting one class object into another class object using setter method is called setter injection. So if you inject by using constructor, that is called constructor injection. If you inject by using setter, that is called setter injection. Are you able to follow me? So tell me, what is a constructor injection and what is a setter injection? What is a constructor injection and what is a setter injection? Constructor injection. What is the meaning of that? What is the meaning of that? Inject one object into another object. Inject one class object into another class object using constructor. Example, I have a car class. Car C is equal to new car. Then I am passing new petrol engine. If I do like this, what is the meaning of that? Petrol engine object is injected to the car through the constructor. It is called as a constructor injection. What is the other option is available? What is the other option is available? Setter injection. What is the meaning of setter injection? Injecting one class object into another class object using setter method is called as setter injection. What is the example for that? I will create the car object first, new car. Then I will car C dot set engine. Then I will pass new diesel engine. Clear? So this is, if you write the code like this, you are injecting the engine into the car through setter method. It is called setter injection. If you inject the engine to the car through the constructor, it is called constructor injection. Now, I want you people to develop this car application by using setter injection and constructor injection. Are you clear with my point? So we just developed one simple Java application by following strategy design pattern. Okay, in the next session, I'm going to develop one more application with the strategy design pattern. Then you will get more clarity on that part. Are you guys clear with my point? So we are trying to understand strategy design pattern. Can you tell me what is the strategy design pattern? Why we need to follow that? What is strategy design pattern? Why we need to follow that? To develop our classes with the loosely coupling, we will go for strategy design pattern. What are the rules available in the strategy design pattern? What are the rules available in the strategy design pattern? Favor composition over inheritance. What is the second principle? Code with the interfaces instead of implementation classes. What is the third principle? Code should be open for extension and code should be closed for modification. Now, when you are developing the classes, always use the interfaces. One class should not talk to another class directly. If one class is directly talking to another class, it is called tightly coupling. Always our classes should have loosely coupling. For that we are developing with the interfaces. When we are using interfaces, we need to initialize that reference variable with the implementation object. For that you can go for either constructor or you can go for setter. If I go for constructor, it is called constructor injection. If I go for setter, it is called setter injection. Can you tell me what is a constructor injection? What is a constructor injection? Injecting one class object into another class object is called as a constructor injection. What is a setter injection? Injecting one class object into another class object using setter method is called setter injection. Are you clear? Any questions? No? Okay, good. Thank you guys. So we have our next session on Monday. So this weekend I'm not taking the class. So tomorrow Saturday we don't have a class. We have the next class on Monday. Okay. Monday we are going to develop one more example by using strategy design pattern. So please revise all your core Java concepts before coming to Monday session. Monday we will work on another example with the strategy design pattern. Once you got the clarity on the strategy design pattern, then we will start with the Spring Core IOC container and the dependency injection. Okay? Thank you guys. We'll see you on Monday. Monday timing 7:30, sir. From Monday onwards, class will be there at 7:30. 7:30 to 9. 7:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. from Monday. Okay.